The echo.
Whoa.
Everything is echoing again. Why does it always happen?
Not anymore, it isn't.
Okay, was that you?
No.
Okay. I said literally like 15 seconds ago.
I don't know what you're talking
Whatever,
about.
man.
I don't know.
Oh, we're back. So, Freeds, this is what I want to talk about. I thought this was a good intro to the conversation.
Segue.
I want an update on your neighbor across the street. I want to understand what's going on.
Oh, well, you mean the high-tech limousine business that
All
lives
right,
across
yeah.
the street
Let's
from
talk
me?
about. This is a great beginning to us returning for a second. I don't even know if anybody who listens to this show knows that this was a thing. Praise be. New tunage slaps. Thanks. More places forever. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to twitch.com/ probably did you Reddit? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So so you have a neighbor across the street who lives in a fucking goddamn mansion and has a limo, a massive Hummer limo parked in front.
Stretched excursion limo.
A stretched
baby.
excursion limo.
Wow.
Fresh off the factory line in 2005.
Oh,
It's like got that dated feel
Yeah.
right now.
yeah.
And
Eh,
I've seen her before. So this is not the first time I've seen her, but she also has she has like a GMC. I'm just gonna call it the GMC Nevada. I know that's not the name of a car, but it seems like this
Might
is
as
what
well
the
be.
car would be. And it is the doors are open, and it just seems like it's pumping exhaust into the air.
Yeah.
it's a Nissan Pathfinder.
Okay, there we go.
It's probably like a 2003, but it has 13 miles on it because I think it's
Yeah,
never left. The
Never left the
driveway.
lot.
So this lady looks like a homeless lady under a bridge.
But
looks like a troll.
she's wearing a huge winter jacket. She has a massive dreadlock. She's really old.
And she has like
Right.
a goatee. She's
Yes.
probably 60s.
Wow.
So she kind of looks strange. The house is massive. It's probably worth like a couple $1,000,000 if it was like cleaned up. I've never seen a light on. So what I think the car does in the front yard, I think the car, she turns it on, uses as a generator to like run, like that's like her gas powered generator because it'll just run
Oh.
sometimes. And
Right.
and I think there's like an extension cord that goes into the garage and then she charges up something.
Wow.
Because I've never seen like
Yeah.
a home light on.
Mhm.
Did you steal her internet?
Yeah, I use her internet. Her
Okay.
internet speeds are
Cool.
the best.
Wow.
Her uprates and bit loads. Woo.
Those bit
Forget
loads.
about
Don't
it,
even get
dude.
me
Honestly,
started.
you can't get a good bit load in this city anymore.
It's hard. It's
So-
just
Good
Obama,
Lord.
you know, and everything else.
I'm telling you, Obama Building 7 ruined bit loads for
Ugh,
everyone.
Come on, man. Come on. Hey,
Okay.
get off it. You know what I mean?
Get
Yeah,
off
so-
it. You know what I mean.
Do you know?
So apparently, her dad, the lady across the street, that father was like she's an illegitimate child of like an East Coast marriage, that like powerful family.
No
And
shit.
apparently, her dad was
She's
like
a Kennedy.
George Bush Senior's like attorney or something. And,
Ooh.
like,
What
there
in
was like
the fuck?
there's like some like story like that.
Are you
and
making
she's-
this up? Is that
no,
real-
I'm
is that
not.
true?
I
Holy
swear to
shit.
God. And so she's like the illegitimate child of like one of his like affairs,
Damn.
and she's 60. So this all happened a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and
It's
I think she
2007.
like came to the West Coast to like show everybody that fuck off. Like I'm gonna live my life and let my freak flag fly. And I'm pretty sure there's just like a trust fund, and she's apparently like very
Oh.
wealthy
Right.
and has tons of cash to like buy a $3,000 electrical bicycle that she cruises around on,
Fucking
but
amazing.
like is basically homeless also.
She's also like, so she's living life exactly as she wants to live life.
It seems that way.
Yes.
And she's not hurting anybody, right?
I feel like
No.
you,
Except the environment.
Dog, you strike me as somebody who looks extremely admirably upon this woman.
I literally don't see anything wrong
They're
with
like the
this.
lady
I don't-
crush.
Yeah.
Hello.
I'm picturing this as my future potentially.
I
It
mean,
seems cool. I mean, here's the only difference is like I would live in the mansion.
right.
That's the
She
only
lives
difference.
there. It's just like it's just not kept up. Like it really is like filthy
Yeah.
looking and kind of gross.
That seems like something I'd do too, though.
Yeah,
Like cash
true.
everything out,
Right.
buy that mansion, but then I can't afford to actually
It's-
heat it.
Yes.
Or,
It seems like what
Have
probably
power.
so Shia
There's a
La-
pool back there.
is that true?
Yeah.
So Shia LaDouche brings up a point, and I was actually thinking this similar. This almost feels like she is like what would have happened if Tom Hanks in Big wouldn't have actually gone back to normal,
yeah.
like where he actually wouldn't have ever figured anything else out, and then eventually it would have just been like that crazy guy who has all those toys and just like
Right. He's just stomping on giant pianos like
Yeah,
forever.
forever, literally forever.
Was there any benefit to him like he didn't time travel, right? He just changed bodies, so he
No, he
couldn't have
changed
like
bodies.
invested in retrospect or
No.
No,
It wasn't. Yeah, there was like he in a couple years he would have just been like a mid-level manager at a company.
Yeah.
and started like doing blow and getting
Yeah.
hookers,
Right,
and they were
right.
drinking too much scotch and like
Had insurance fraud problems, all those things that adults eventually
his
do.
voice charm was about to wear off. So
Yes.
Bummer.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, all right. So this is Did You Reddit? What are we now? This is Did You Reddit, quarterly podcast. we function according to financial quarterly reports.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Podcast about the internet in Reddit by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet. My name is Krampus.
Oh,
Today.
I'm Dog Boobs, guys. Dog 2021 noobs.
nice. I'm Free Day Expensive Nights. You know what I mean? Ciao.
Ciao, y'all. Humble servant.
Oh, that's cool.
That was
Just did humble servant.
That's dog.
Ciao.
I love this
Ciao is
cookie.
we finally that gives us a lot of room to be the
We need to add a
the
ciao
rock jock
for
rock
next
jock DJs.
next
that we-
quarter.
Yeah, next quarter when the earnings come out, we'll invest in that. Anyway, so we decided to do it's been a few months since we decided to do our 200th episode, then friggin' chill for a second. For a lot of reasons, as we discussed in the pod, I was getting a new job. It's gonna be really busy. Free Day's kids are teenagers now, so they were fucking, throwing rocks at each other.
Kids are all grown up. I was telling a story that one of my kids found a bone in his penis the other day while he was taking a poop.
That's cool.
It's
That's
hard.
great.
Yeah,
Very
And
exciting.
And I said it to you guys, but I'll say it again. But when he yelled at me from the toilet, it was like, "Hey, Dad!" His voice just changed quite a bit.
It's like
Dude.
sounds like Tom Waits now.
Yeah, he's weathered. Let's
Yeah.
just say
Well, being 26 is hard.
it is
Yeah.
hard.
In today's
you know.
day and
It's
age.
really
I'm just happy he still lives at home, and we still get to spend this time with him.
It's a scary
you know.
time to be
Exactly.
a 26-year-old
It is really.
white Italian boy
All with,
Yes.
in this country.
all with the with the insurances and things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He didn't pan out. You
No.
know.
No, sorry.
You still got another one though. So.
Yeah.
You didn't
Everyone
pan
will.
out as such a hilarious way to talk about a kid. You didn't pan out, but
Yeah.
Local
so funny.
legend didn't pan out. It
Yeah.
was like an Onion headline.
It does feel like an Onion headline. But anyway, so we're doing a little holiday episode, and we're just kind of recapping some of the stuff that happened this past year. We've also received some very nice messages over the past few months, just of people either like discovering us and wanting and like kind of saying fuck, why are you guys done, or people that have been with us for a long time, i.e. our fucking person Blaustein,
Best friend of the pod.
best friend of the pod.
We love all of our fans, but it was really great
Our
to hear
lad Casey
from,
Knight, yeah, all of them.
from you guys. So
But
thank
so
you.
thanks for that. So we're I mean, this is going to be the last episode, like we had discussed. It was never really intended to be like the last ever episode. It's just something we're gonna we're gonna like space out maybe a little bit more. Just we gotta like focus on some other shit so that we don't fucking get fired from our jobs and
Yeah.
our kids don't.
We got to clean
not
up our
pan out.
taxes so we
Gotta
don't
work on
end
our
up in
taxes.
prison.
Exactly. That's what it all comes down to.
Getting kids to school, like this, is the part of having kids they didn't tell you. Like, it's a whole fucking shit
It's like
show.
a-
Oh yeah.
It's got to be like a battle.
Every
every
day you
morning.
wake up, you're like, oh fuck, okay.
Oh God.
Oh,
It's like the
Jesus.
worst, and you're like, God, PB&J's, lunches, breakfast,
Yeah.
clothes. They brush your teeth. My kid looks filthy. Ah,
God.
shit in his pants.
With
You're
the
like,
clock just
and the clock's
counting
ticking.
down.
Boom.
Boom.
Right.
boom, and it's like all 6:58 still. You're like, ugh.
Oh
And then you
my
get him to
God.
school, and you can like.
Finally breathe.
Chill.
That's why.
And then you
me
get a
and
call
Lo-
from the principal that's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Charlie brought another
Yeah.
fucking like
Yeah.
he's talking about the bone in his dick again. You got to take him out of class.
Charlie brought the 4-foot katana that it's your dad gave his father.
Yeah, I love
Damn.
at some point he's going to get disciplinary actions for bringing knives and swords to the school, and you're going to
Yeah.
be like, I don't know where he learned it, and then they're going to listen to an extensive
Yeah.
6 years of us talking exclusively about making sure everybody in the world has at least one sword from this
You-
one novelty store.
You gave me throwing cards that were knife bladed.
Yeah, I did
Oh,
that. I did that. I did do that.
And so I've had them like in this garage, just
Right.
in a drawer. And like me and Charlie use playing cards. We play war. It's a good way to like learn to count. And all
Right,
that
right,
stuff.
right.
only matter of
gotta
time
bring
until he
'em.
finds the bladed cars,
Right.
which he's found multiple times. Like he's like, "Oh, look at these! I can like chuck them at stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, geez, I
Oh my
gotta
god.
throw
Oh,
these
God.
away."
Yeah.
Yeah, someday, like every kid discovers their dad's porno collection. He's gonna find
My
your
knife collection.
your novelty knife collection.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
right here.
Okay.
Whoa.
Sick ass blades, dude.
Look at these.
Are these all true swords blades?
A couple of blades.
I
It's
love
fucking
it.
amazing.
I've
Outrageous.
still-
There's a
I've
couple
still
of
got a
blades.
few. I've
This
got
is
a
good.
few
This is
too.
good radio. This is absolutely good radio.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about some of what has been happening, some of the bigger, hotter things, because there actually has been some fucking slam dunk Reddit stuff that's been going on.
Yeah.
We're actually in the middle of. I know we were just talking about this in the pod before we got on the air that we had been we did not know that anti-work was going to become what it became.
Yeah.
But it did, however, we even though it became what it became, we didn't remember that we had covered it.
Yeah.
So when it was all of a sudden becoming this like phenomenon, we were kind of like, oh wow, like we should cover anti-work. And then I went back and I saw that we did a 2-part episode on it already. So we probably need to do a little bit of an update on anti-work, because anti-work is like kind of, it's gonna become the next like Wall Street Bets in a way.
Yeah, if you guys are paying attention at all, unlike us,
Right.
we did an anti-work 2-parter at the beginning of 2021. Check it out.
Yeah, in the middle of a drunken 2021 haze, where we literally
Yes.
don't remember any of what happened.
Yeah, it was like, but you know what? That was when we were starting to become really into, learning about this
Right.
funny, weird subreddit, and
Right.
now it's all over the news.
Yeah, now it's not a funny, weird subreddit anymore. I mean, originally it started as, so for anybody keeping track at home, r/anti-work, reddit.com/r/anti-work. So originally when we had talked about it, it was actually coming through our own malaise. Mostly you, dog. I think you were
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to work.
I don't like working.
Yeah, I found a subreddit that's just a bunch of people who don't want to work. But what it became is actually like a foundational part of the labor movement,
Yeah.
and everything that we've been seeing more and more of it happening, which I think is obviously extremely encouraging. Seeing Kellogg strikes, the John Deere strike, is that what the one was that they actually did settle?
Yes. Yeah.
But
Amazon trying to
Amazon-
bust unions, like a whole
Right.
bunch of shit going on right now that's
Totally.
so tied to the
Right.
anti-work movement.
yeah, and it's interesting because I wouldn't say it started as a Reddit thing as much as the Reddit kind of changed its principle behind what it was intended to be. I think originally it was a little bit of like why do we have a 5-day work week? That doesn't make sense, right? Which we agree with, and that tracks, right? It's a little bit kind of like the adjacent to late stage capitalism and like
Right.
those subs. But then it really took on a very significant role where even there are things now. I know with the Kellogg strike in particular, Reddit is a big part of this, where, and it's hard to say where like the Reddit advocacy and like TikTok or Twitter begins and ends, but
Mhm.
I know on Reddit they've been very like, whenever you see a posting for permanent replacement workers in the Kellogg's boycott or the Kellogg's fight, if you will,
Yeah.
make sure that you apply with fucking bogus names
Just to
so you waste their time, right? And that's like a Reddit thing and a Reddit tactic. That's something that's happening.
Can you give us like the backstory for all of us who I'm talking about me here,
Right.
who don't know what's going on?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You know what scab workers are?
Oh yeah, I got scabs everywhere.
Ooh, I got scabs all over me.
Yeah, scab
So-
flakes, scab flakes.
Scab flakes, everybody.
Kellogg scab flakes.
So
Is that not a meme yet?
it should be scab fruity flakes or whatever. Okay.
God.
So when there's like a strike, so Kellogg's union members decided to strike, and Kellogg's, instead of meeting their demands, tried to hire a bunch of scab workers, which are workers that come in from outside the union to do the work of union workers.
Yeah.
It should be illegal to hire non-union workers for union jobs, but whatever. So Kellogg's was starting to post jobs, or is continuing to post jobs for these scab positions. And so it's being attributed to a lot of Gen Z.
Right.
And I think it is a lot of people on Reddit and a lot of people that are using the internet to basically just submit a shit ton of resumes for these jobs and then ghost the interviews. but it's also become like they've like, I don't know, they've like sprinkled crack on it because some super smart Gen Zer like made an algorithm so that like every single time Kellogg's posts one of these positions, like 500 of these resumes get submitted. So it's just like a magical waste of time for this huge company.
It's an interesting evolution of like in the past, if you were a scab worker and you wanted to stop them from working, you would like line up on the docks with your Irish brethren and you would like beat them with bats.
Yeah, you fill,
like, that's
fill
how
a sock with pennies and hit the scabs.
And, like, just kill people.
Yeah.
Right.
And now instead of doing that, like it's not physical, but they're still stopping the process from happening in you know, an evolutionary way, like that a Gen Zer would, which I think is pretty fucking chill.
Yeah.
But don't sleep on the beating people with bats technique too.
No.
Well, we can't. Yeah, I mean, we can't lose sight of where we were, what worked.
That's right.
It's like back in the day, those Irish brethren, it's like kids were outside more, you know, like playing and using their muscles. And now like our kids are all really weak with noodle arms, but like they know how to make algorithms. So we have to use our strengths. You know,
play to your strengths is the theme of this pod.
Exactly.
It's the theme of this quarterly podcast,
special quarterly
special quarterly podcast that we do.
Pretty sweet. So Kellogg's is in trouble. They're not being able now. Does this mean I'm going to have trouble getting my cereal?
Yeah, actually, it's, I mean, this is what's interesting about the anti-work movement is it's
psych. I buy my cereal at Trader Joe's, dude.
Oh, scab, consumer scab over here.
No, is that they make their own stuff like down the street and probably somewhere.
Yeah, with fucking non-union workers.
Oh yeah,
fucking
dude.
Scab.
My cereal is actually made in Shenzhen province, which like I'm sure there are some that are made in like some fucking rural Chinese like area, and you're like, how the fuck am I eating Chinese cereal, dude?
That's actually an interesting. I wonder, do they put pro-union and messaging on products? Like what you could say, like proudly union made. Or probably union, whatever.
I think it's going that way.
As an opportunity for you to make sure that you don't buy the stuff that you don't want to get.
Well, it's like the Made in America sticker, right? Like,
totally.
You know, hopefully, you'd think people would vote with their pocketbooks,
right?
As they say,
right. I mean, it's. I think we are going back into that world. I think this whole movement reminds me actually a lot of when the what is it called? My brain is fried. It is when in the Middle East they were doing all the protests.
Arab Spring.
So it reminds me of Arab Spring.
Different than Irish Spring soap, but still, I don't know.
Still just as sweet.
Irish Spring was also a pretty important movement.
Yeah.
That's right. So
yes. So it reminds me of the Arab Spring because the Arab Spring, when it happened, it was like first it was Lebanon, and then it was somebody else, and then it was somebody else, and then it like they try to do it in where's Bashar al-Assad. Well, Egypt was successful. Syria was like no. And so we're kind of seeing that now where like John Deere was really successful.
Mm-hmm.
Kellogg's is really difficult right now.
They're like, no.
Yeah, they're trying to put up, but even to the point where I don't know if you guys saw this, but Joe Biden did like a official like White House letter about Kellogg's and why he was like, unions are important. Kellogg's needs to fucking chill the shit out.
Wow.
Is this like a profit? Is it like a shareholder profit driven?
Oh, 100. That's 100% what it is. I mean, all it is. So the whole point of this is that, you know, they haven't been getting what they deserve for a long time. And inflation is like going through the roof right now. Our inflation's getting crazy.
Yeah. You don't got to tell me about it, dude.
I got a good little out of the loop post here. You want to hear it?
Good.
Sure.
Great.
Woo. Okay. The workers at Misa called Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, Misa.
There we go.
Ooh,
That's
that.
Okay, we still got
it. Okay.
Big Willie style.
Good radio.
So,
all right, continue.
Kellogg's workers have been on strike for a couple months, as we said. The main thing that the union wants is the removal of the company's two-tier payment system, where you have veterans getting paid well and new hires getting paid considerably less. There have also been they've also been working on something on the order of 16-hour shifts and 80 hours a week during the pandemic. Imagine spending half your life awake or not at work. In the last round of negotiations, Kellogg offered a 5-year contract to the union that included 3% pay raise.
And I think
However-
inflation right now is at 6.5. So
Yeah, so they're
yeah.
taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
However, it not only kept the tier system, but removed the cap it had on the number of low tier workers Kellogg's could hire. So this would effectively kneecap the union in the long run, as the company could just keep replacing veterans with newbies until they have no more vets left.
Cool.
There you go.
There we go.
Interesting. 3% pay. God.
Hey,
and
it's brutal.
meanwhile,
Yeah.
all these Kellogg's probably made record profits
of
last
course.
year, and all of the shareholders get their huge
Huge
billion-dollar
bonuses, yeah.
bonuses.
Well,
Yeah, it's complex. I mean, it's also if I had to make a bet, and I'm gonna just like throw my fucking hat in the bet train, I believe is the phrase.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Throw your hat off the train
throw my hat off the bet
while
train.
waving to
Yeah.
all the ladies.
That is the phrase. I think this is going to end with teachers unions. I think teachers unions is where it's going to be like the moment where it all finishes, because we've seen a little bit of it happen.
Yeah.
But teachers are kind of the most publicly there. It's going to be it's a real serious necessity, because obviously if people aren't teaching, that's the education system has been a major bummer throughout the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
And teachers are just like woefully underpaid, and they have a very strong union. So
Well, it's like it's super clear, especially now that I'm a father. But like, you just realize schools are like daycares for most people to go work.
Right.
And like taking that out of people are fucked if teachers go on strike.
no, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Is like
Nobody really needs scab flakes. Like
No,
eggs are still the best breakfast.
they are.
Yeah.
If the chickens go on strike, we got problems.
Yeah,
Then we're
we
gonna
got
start
then we're
dying.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think the private school thing
it's tough.
is expensive.
Yeah, I think I mean I don't I support unions. I do think that it's an interesting balance, because I think that was always one of the issues with teachers, is like the teachers union was always was kind of a problem, is because you kind of had a similar model here where you'd actually have really bad teachers that would not get fired because of the teachers union. And it was a bummer, because you have these kids who are just like, I fucking hate math because fucking Mr. Dipshit was a pain in my ass all my childhood.
Right.
And then he still
He's
just like keeps his job and gets to do whatever he wants. So now
And they're not generating, like, the difference between Kellogg's and
Right.
the teachers is like Kellogg's is generating profits, and teachers
yes, exactly. Well, it's
are
it's a
generating
protective measure for teachers, but
pupils.
Yeah.
Pupils.
Pupils. Yeah, I mean, I hope. I still think that we need. I know that we are a big economics podcast here. I still think we need a proportional wage structure that should be almost a law in the United States. It would fuck up globalization, and a lot of people would say you're going to destroy the economy. But if the highest paid employee doesn't make any more than 500 times the lowest paid employee, that's a law. I don't know. I don't understand why we don't fucking do that. Because then if the CEO wants to make more money, you can make more money, bro. You just got to like pay your fucking homie a little bit less or more, rather. That's my model. My whole thing is the CEO should make more money and the people below him should make less money. That's my whole stance. It's not my stance. Anyway, so that's kind of been what's happening in anti-work. But I will say also anti-work is still continuing its trend with almost a little bit more fervor and vigor of what they had been kind of doing previously, which was people just kind of quitting their job gloriously. Or there's a little bit of sabotage that I think is happening, and people are kind of celebrating sabotage. But this is actually going to be a good segue into the next big sub that's kind of been dominating, which is like anti-work for a labor union or a labor movement is really nice and important. And anti-work as a place for people to talk about their gripes with the way the system works is really helpful. But there can be a negativity that then makes people go, I don't want to be a part of that. Actually, this is really not good. Well, where you kind of have a lot of that, like, my boss said, hey, I'm so sorry. I know it's a holiday, but is there any way that you can come in? And the person fucking, roasts them on the internet and says, fuck you. I hate everything about you. I'm reporting you to the CIA. And then you're kind of like, I don't know if that's really quite correct, So there's an interesting balance, and I think that sometimes you'll see anti-work kind of move in one direction or another. But right now, I think it's been a pretty helpful part of the labor movement. And then you also, by the way, so another thing about anti-work that we're seeing a lot right now is it's always on the front page. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I'm constantly seeing it on the front page, which is a big deal, I think, for for something that has this level of like grassroots advocacy to be a popular thing is it makes a big difference.
The front page went from
butts,
guys with their butts out,
yeah,
to real things about the economy.
Yeah.
I don't know, take it or leave it.
Yeah, and there's also just like a broad catharsis, right? Where a lot of the things, I'm looking at the fourth down this past month. Let me see, past week on Anti-Work. Let's see. So it's second down. So it's just like, today was my last shift as a non-union worker. When I clock in on Saturday, I'll be working for at the first unionized Starbucks in the U.S. So that's another thing that's actually pretty cool. Is like, I don't know how unions work. I don't know what the fucking state of unions are in post Jimmy Hoffa, because I feel like they really haven't heard much of it. But like, I work in a fairly abusive environment, so I don't know what happens when people in like the marketing industry or like white collar jobs have their own union because they have to work.
I think you have to get everybody to sort of agree that they would join the union. You have to have like 51% of like the total pool of workers.
How do you even start? How do you even start? Do I just like do I go, hey, you guys want a union? You'd be like, maybe.
You become one of those bullshit assholes in front of like the supermarket who's like, you want to sign this?
Oh yeah.
And then it's just like, it's like grassrootsy shit.
Yeah, Survey Monkey.
And
SurveyMonkey.com.
you like pound on doors and people tell you to fuck off for like 4 years. And then eventually you're like, we did it.
Yeah.
There is, the other thing
they paint a mural of you in some alleyway.
That's probably why white collar workers will never unionize, because they're 51% of them are probably not going to like have it bad enough to band together.
And it's a good enough environment, I think,
comparatively.
Your abuses come from what? Like people expecting you to always be working?
Yeah.
It's
mean to me.
Well, I think it is an element of there's a shared. It's different, but it's similar and the same. I mean, you do see a lot of stuff on Anti-Work that is white collar work.
Yeah,
like a lot of it where it's just like my boss is a dick on my day in my like white collar fucking bullshit job. I'm not talking people who are like the CEO or the CMO of whatever. I'm talking to people who are just like, need you to work again on Sunday, and they're just like, dude, what the fuck? And I think that part of what I think happens in our industries is people go, that place works you to death. I'm going to a different place. And then like new young people fill the work you to death zone and then they leave eventually. It's just kind of a cycle. But so I saw this down because this is a very like Gen Z thing. We're seeing a lot of like Gen Z traction, I think, right now as well. They're starting to like take the bait and taking our fucking the fish out of our bowls, the millennial fish out of the bowls. I'm using all these like terms. All these terms I'm using today are things that have been happening for the last 2 months. You may have not heard them. That's why we're breaking it to you. But everybody's saying take the fish out of the bowls right now.
That's an old Baltic Sea reference.
It is. So Gen Zers to the rescue. Is 17 down this past week. I told there's a tweet, a screenshot of a tweet. I told earlier how Gen Z's crashed Kellogg's website by submitting bogus applications online when it sought job apps from strike breakers to replace union workers. Update. One of them who wrote a program which uses random data to submit bogus applications 24 hours a day. So that was what you brought up. But I think that's a good point of like Gen Zers are being attributed with some of this action as like, we don't fucking take this shit anymore.
So it's interesting. It does seem like the idea of how you spend your time in your life or your job is changing, which feels good.
Right.
But won't these companies just move somewhere where they can exploit people harder? Well,
so this is what I was mentioning about the globalization thing. I didn't actually finish that thought. So have you guys seen that movie about, it was the Obama produced movie about that factory in China, or a factory in America that China owned in Cincinnati?
Really good movie.
What's it called?
Really nice documentary.
It's called American Factory.
American Factory, yeah.
It was fucking depressing,
depressing,
but fantastic. And I left there going, well, China's got us.
Dude, honestly, that was kind of what happened. It was like that movie
checkmate
was very illuminating to the fact that like, if people don't want happiness, then they're not going to seek it. Right. And so
if they don't know it's an option.
Yeah. And like that was in China. I think the way that movie, and was produced by the Obamas, a little propagandizing, of course, but it was like they bring in these Chinese workers, and the Chinese workers are just like, they fucking smoke cigarettes in like a cubicle like bedroom, and then they work 17 hours, and they go back and be like, my life is There's
a scene where this guy's like he's worked there every day for the last 3,000 days.
Yeah.
And he gets like a smoke break on a Sunday afternoon. He's like crouching in a corner, like
Totally.
smoking a cigarette.
So
like
literally
in, like,
exactly right. I mean,
in, like
I
an
remember
alleyway,
this, yeah.
and he's like, "It's the best part of my life." Like
Yeah.
he says that. You're
Totally.
like, whoa.
It is, and if that's the standard that we as a society are okay accepting, then
Wow.
we're fucked because these people are just like, we need to work less than 14 hours a day, and China's like, there's never been a single person in the country who's worked less than 14 hours a day. And then Kellogg's goes, well, shit. I mean, like, let's do a little math, guys. Like, how much is it really to ship cereal from fucking Beijing?
Yeah,
I mean,
can
let's be
we-
honest here, guys.
Can
you
we
know?
make it fresh and
Right.
ship it over? And
God.
the answer will be yes.
Yeah.
And then that's what'll happen.
Right.
Or Mexico, or so
Right.
probably Mexico, right?
Probably Mexico. I did see though,
NAFTA, Bill Clinton, blowjobs.
Right.
I mean, it all comes
Building
back.
7, dude.
Building 7.
It all
Building
comes back to
7,
Building
everybody.
7. Okay, so moving on. So I think to the next topic. So that's kind of what's happening in anti-work, amongst other many
Yeah.
interesting things. Let's talk about Herman Cain.
Herman Cain.
Oh, dude, I love that guy. 777.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Or was it 999? One of my favorites.
He was the
Yeah,
pizza
666.
magnate, right?
I
His,
think
I just remember he had a tax plan that was like, I want to say
6% tax,
999.
corporate tax,
It was
6%
999.
income tax,
Yeah, it
6
sh-
pieces of pizza.
It should be 666. That's like
should.
genius marketing.
It
Just
would have been.
ah,
I know.
what a boner.
I
What a
know.
boner.
But he's dead, right?
He's dead. So
Yeah.
here
Died of the COVID.
he died of the COVID. So there's been
I'm
a
Herman Cain and I own pizza. Right? He was that guy.
that was one. We
All right.
also might be lying about all this. I don't know if he owned pizza. I think he owned pizza, right? Didn't he own Tombstone?
He had
or
a
something?
pizza chain
We'll
that,
find out.
that nobody heard of in California.
Let's make sure
Oh,
that
yeah.
he did actually own pizza, so that we're not talking about somebody else.
No, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the chairman and CEO of Godfather's Pizza.
There we go. That's the one.
Glad we confirmed it.
Godfather Herm. All right. So Herman Cain. So we actually, this is one that we, as soon as we put this shit on hiatus, immediately this was like the Cat's Pajamas.
Yeah.
It was all over the front page. It was becoming increasingly controversial. And I was like, probably should talk about that at some point. But basically, there's a subreddit called Herman Cain Award that you've probably heard of at this point because it's
Right.
427,000 readers. And it's the whole point. So Herman Cain died of COVID. And the reason it is called the Herman Cain Award is because he denied COVID, like literally up until after he had died. Like after he had died from COVID, his staff was still posting, COVID is not real. Vaccines are not true. Yada, yada. Like
Yeah.
literally as they're prepping his funeral and they're still posting this shit.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it was one of those things. And the Herman Cain Award now is the award, and the way this subreddit works really is, so Herman Cain Award, So I'm looking at the sidebar. It says, additionally, Herman Cain Award is not affiliated nor associated with any external Herman Cain Award body of any other site. So if like the Herman Cain Award, the Herman Cain Presidential Godfather Pizza Award for Freedom, this is not that. This is the Herman Cain Award, where if you are a fucking dipshit who doesn't get a vaccine and like posts on Facebook repeatedly that like Joe Biden is a fucking narc and Building 7 happened because Donald Trump like wasn't president at the time or some fucking bullshit, and then you go, and COVID's not real, and then you get COVID and then you die from COVID, you get the Herman Cain Award. And if
Yeah.
you only get COVID from that, you get nominated for the Herman Cain Award is the language.
Right.
So
Here's a fun little post from the Herman Cain Awards subreddit that I am sharing on my screen.
ooh,
So you'll notice a lot of the people that are receiving Herman Cain Awards are boomers,
Right.
but not
Mhm.
all of them. Not all of them. But boomers, we know, sometimes get that laughing emoji mixed
Well,
up with a crying
right.
emoji. So this
They're
is-
perfectly stated to both not believe in COVID, but also die from it. Right.
Yeah,
So it's like,
it's true. Check out this post. It
it's
says
so funny.
it shows a bunch of these laughing emojis on Facebook, and it says, "It's with great sadness. My son blank died of the coronavirus at the age of 39." I don't mean to laugh, except there are all these laughing emojis. And so a bunch of people respond with like crying faces. A
Right.
bunch of people respond with more laughing faces,
Right, right.
that I'm assuming they think are screaming, crying, and
Right.
agony faces. And someone writes, "Get well soon." And the author writes, "He will not. He is dead. God bless.
God bless.
And there you
Hilarious.
go.
I mean, so, yeah, that's part of the this subreddit has a little bit of the goofs and gaffs of boomer humor.
We do love it.
We do love it. But it's tragic. And this is kind of where this is what I was saying a little bit about.
Tragic.
It is fucking bummer. This is what I was saying a little bit about the anti-work movement and the anti-work subreddit is there is a level of toxicity on Herman Cain that's pretty like unmatched because it is just celebrating and laughing at people who have died from COVID. That's the whole point of the subreddit. but it is doing it only because it is like it's self-aware wolves. It's the same shit. This is the self-aware wolves specifically for COVID essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But it is like we see these stupid boomer posts and then one of them dies and then we laugh at them, but the whole point is that we're trying to through the act of cruelty let people understand that there are consequences for their dumb social media actions.
Yeah,
which I agree with.
I'm
I like
sorry,
that.
you're not going to get my prayers and good thoughts when
Totally.
you've actively been campaigning against the vaccine,
Right.
and then COVID hits you. So it's like,
Totally.
I'm not going to waste my prayers on you.
Yeah. And some of this too is like I think it's interesting because there's a lot of like there's clearly sorrow here that people are kind of like using this like cruel dark humor as a way to cope. So there's like people that are like nominating their parents, because they're just like my parents, my like this is what my dad was posting and now I'm I have to nominate my parents. So so I think this is the post, by the way. So the one that kind of started it all off, I'm actually going to share my screen because this is the Herm scenario.
Big worm
Himself. Did you guys see that? I think it's seeable. Okay, so this is one that started all. So because I saw newbies asking why it's called the Herman Cain Award. Herman Cain, post number 1. Don't believe everything you hear on fake news. I never had the Wuhan flu because it doesn't exist. Mask off, my body, my choice. Plandemic. Plandemic, the should have been Oscar nominated internet documentary. It sucks. Don't watch it. Ignore the outrage. Ignore the thugs. Defy the violence and the left wing shaming. Right. And then this is also part of his. He went to the Tulsa rally. That's where he actually got it. So June 20, 2020. Masks will not be mandatory at the event, which will be attended by President Trump. People are fed up. Here's just a few of the black voices for Trump at tonight's rally, having a fantastic time.
Oh yeah, so fun.
And then on July 2nd, we are sorry to announce that Herman Cain has tested positive for COVID-19 and is currently receiving treatment in the Atlanta hospital. Please keep him and all of you who are all who are battling the virus in your thoughts, in your prayers.
That's a real left turn, huh?
Real left turn. Caitlin McElnany, the old press secretary. Herman Cain embodied the American dream represented by our hearts grieve for his loved ones because on July 30th he must have died. And then on July 30th, a deleted tweet. It looks like the virus is not as deadly as the mainstream media first made it out to be.
Literally post-death.
Yeah, sir, the virus killed you. You died from it. Yeah, Herman Cain being killed by a pandemic, and then later tweeting that the pandemic isn't real, that deadly isn't the most thing to happen, isn't the most important thing to happen in 2020, but it is by far the craziest.
So was it on like an automated tweet thing? That's what happened. Yeah, okay.
It's either on an automated tweet thing or his
staff
would just
want to bring the heat on themselves.
Yeah, or like Dan, the intern, woke up late, didn't hear that Herman had
dude,
died.
Fuck, my alarm didn't go off.
Oh,
dude.
shit.
Oh, dude, hold on.
My planned tweet, I was supposed to post at 8.
Yeah.
That's like the equivalent of using like words like organic and synergy in a business meeting that you're not prepared for. Except his has to do with pandemic and COVID's not real. Here's the twist: your boss died yesterday.
Oh my god.
This is a funny one. This kind of sums up, I think, the tude of the sub. So COVID early treatment experiences, ivermectin, etc. And then William Lewis. This is a private Facebook group, obviously, because why would it be anywhere other than Facebook? Ivermectin. Oh, this is another thing that fucking happened while we weren't recording. By the way, Facebook doesn't exist anymore. It's fucking Meta now.
Oh yeah.
There's memes for days for about
we have
15 hours.
We feel like Dog Boobs, you need to get into the meta pretty early and start decorating ottomans and things.
Yeah. Shit.
Honestly,
I
I think there's a cottage industry waiting to happen that you need to fucking exploit.
Actually, we
Yeah.
should make this business agreement right now. We'd like to represent you as your agents.
Me?
Yeah, you're the talent here. Obviously, you get in the meta,
right?
You start building ottomans,
yeah,
Okay.
selling them off.
Look,
we're only going to
to
take
people who want ottomans.
of the
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys take 68% of the profit.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we each take 68%. Yeah,
Okay.
Then you get the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Seems cool.
Seems cool. Gotta see it in writing, but I'll sign.
I want to see it in writing.
COVID early treatment experiences, ivermectin, etc. Ivermectin saved my best friend's life, and I'm here to share my story. Janice, I'd love to hear your story. Janice, a few months ago, or William Lewis response. Janice, a few months ago, I found out that my best friend was sleeping with my wife. I was devastated and absolutely filled with rage, but the week before I planned on murdering him, I was diagnosed with COVID-19. Since I am not vaccinated, I took ivermectin to treat it. Did not work at all. I'm now in the hospital and I can barely walk, let alone kill my best friend. Ivermectin saved his life.
That's pretty
Beautiful.
funny.
It's pretty funny.
Beautiful.
Good twist.
Yeah. So, and also you have people that are like, hey, we decided to get our fucking shot. Thanks to you, my Gen Z son.
Are you guys a little bit conspiratorial about the big pharma, like with all this, as far as like
here's where I am on this shit.
profits, like
Yeah.
media control? Like it feels
I think
like there's some healthy skepticism
Yeah.
we should have
I think like anything
based on their history.
I mean,
Yes.
there is truth in conspiracies, but they're not true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I think that there's a like
Yeah,
I think that the fact that Pfizer is a publicly traded company and they're now using using marketing money to like talk about their own company on like NPR and shit is like suspicious and sketchy, but it's also partially because I think that there's a couple things happening. I think one of it is like we don't want people to only think we are a COVID vaccine company.
Yeah.
Right? Because Pfizer is a massive drug company. So if you're trying to get like fucking
They're
you know,
afraid all
like-
the conservatives are gonna
Right.
not want
Right.
Pfizer drugs.
yeah, like whatever Pfizer's equivalent to Gatorade, they want you to buy
yeah,
it. You know?
I'm sure they just make
Yeah, and then I think that the other side of it is like there is a weird thing that I've noticed a little bit in the world of the COVID trial, COVID whatever, where there's like, I got Moderna, I got Pfizer, I wish I would have gotten Moderna, I wish I would have gotten Pfizer. You know, so it's like I think there's also a little bit of like we make as much as people want the thing,
Yeah.
and if the thing is good and the other company is making the profit, then it is a whole different thing. So I understand that. Now the flip side of it is, like most conspiracies, it's fun to think about them, but it's fucking inconsequential.
I don't,
Yeah.
think,
Entirely
I don't think it's a
inconsequential, you know?
conspiracy as much as like business, like
That's what I
making.
mean. I think it's
making
sketchy
moves
business shit.
that like
Yeah.
helps them potentially
Right.
more than it helps.
I was
Exactly.
talking to Clensington the
Yes,
other night.
that sounds right.
My father.
Is he vaccinated?
Yes.
Ooh.
So
I'm gonna.
Cleansing-
Didn't know he was
Clensington-
such a libtard.
I know.
I
So
know.
this is what's funny is Clensington and his wife, they did get vaccinated before the Fox News
Got to him.
skepticism machine got going. And I think he's regretting it.
Really?
I think
Why?
he got him, he got the booster.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
He's like,
How get this thing out of my blood?
he's like, God damn it, I fell for it. I really think it's like working on him now. Oh, thanks.
Oh yeah, we're also, for anybody who's listening and not living in Los Angeles,
California, and it's the coldest place right now.
Los Angeles is officially the coldest place in the planet. It's about 51 degrees right now, so
Amazing.
we're all just our fucking fingers are turning blue. Like, send help for our Arctic frosted
Yeah.
limbs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's good radio. That is good
That's what I
radio.
like.
We can trim that out.
We might not. We might not. We don't want anybody who's new to the pod to think that we're something we're not.
I got it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm
I got,
watching Dog Boots turn blue.
I got the Vornado right here.
Oh,
Thing is,
I love it.
it's a beef.
All
A
right.
beef.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about
Oh,
Shia
Clinton.
LaDouche is like, fuck off. I'm in London right now. Sorry, Shia. It's going to be
Shia, I don't think you have any idea what 55 degrees Fahrenheit feels like.
We're dipping into the 30s this week.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh
like
my
the
god.
high 30s.
I don't know if you know that, but water freezes in the 30s for us.
In the low 30s.
Yeah.
You have
Specifically, exactly
Yeah.
32.
We may not get snow, but close
Yeah, we're close to
in the
snow.
morning.
So we're colder than you.
We're
Yeah.
cold.
Anyway, all right. So
So Clinton
Clinton.
was talking to me the other night. We caught up a little bit, and I don't even know what we were talking about, but he did mention, kind of like these vaccines. You wonder, what we're all going to look like in 20 years. Maybe I'll have an extra head.
right.
And I was like, His wife says, well, 4 eyes are better than 2.
Hey man, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. And I
Just-
was like, no, well, you're assuming your second head isn't going to be a Cyclops head.
Ooh, that's a good
I
point.
don't know all that. Like messenger RNA is like what? It's like not a vaccine. It's
Right.
like this other thing.
Right.
I don't really understand. It's like it's gene therapy or something. Like
Yeah.
it all sounds higher above board than what I'm trained for.
Sounds higher, smarter than I know.
So I mean, I just honestly don't know enough. But
Yeah.
is it like going into my DNA and going like whoop, 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 whoop,
Yes,
and like
Maybe.
giving my DNA like new information to
Yeah.
fuck?
maybe.
That's first of all, good on you guys for figuring that out.
Yeah, I
dude.
know.
I can barely.
How do they do
They're
it?
putting a little email that they attach to the gene, and he goes in and hands it off to
Dude, that's sneaky shit.
fucking
So
your
this-
white blood cells.
That's
Yeah.
and then they have the information.
Right.
It's like they send a bzoo, now you know.
Yep.
So I don't know.
That's cool.
It is cool. So here's
Good on you
here's
guys.
the thing with vaccines, right? I don't know how any of them work,
Well,
let
the-
alone the mRNA.
The old
So-
vaccine model is pretty simple. Like
right,
a little bad guy comes in,
Yep.
they recognize it,
right,
they put a red tag on it, they
Right.
go, this guy's bad. Now you all know. When
right.
he comes in here again, we kill him.
Well, but I
Yeah.
think that's
And that was like a simple, but this is different.
I
This
think
is
it's
like a
kind of the same thing but I think that my understanding, and this is us knowing literally
this is-
nothing about any of this.
we're just talking about why Clinton's speculating he's
Right.
gonna have an extra head.
right, exactly.
because this feels like a jump in science.
Right.
And that's why people I think are just concerned about what does this do?
Well, I think you're
Yeah.
introducing the information that didn't exist because the virus didn't exist. Right.
So you're guessing about what the virus looks like on a Xerox copy. You're like,
Right.
it's like a police sketch of the Zodiac killer. You're like,
Yeah.
you think he looks pretty much like
Pretty
this.
much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you're sending that around your body. You're going, it's pretty much like
Kinda
this.
looks like
That's
this.
why the
Exactly
vaccine
right.
might not work as well against a
New strain.
new
Yeah.
strain or something because it's always changing, which is
That's
why
'cause
the
you-
vaccine isn't really going to be like an answer.
No.
Mhm.
Because the thing is changing.
Right.
And
It's gonna be
Dyeing his
helpful.
hair.
And, yeah, and this is
New facial hair.
he's
Different
got the
goatees.
mustache. He's got the
Right.
Groucho Marx glasses.
Yeah.
No one recognizes
Oops.
him.
Yeah.
we injected you with the Groucho Marx vaccine.
Yeah, sir, you
Yeah.
wearing
Our
a
blood
large
needs
base?
to be, or like our bodies need to be smart enough to like imagine imagine
Right.
COVID with a Groucho Marx.
That's what I'm saying.
mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think
What
my
do we-
body's that smart yet.
So, but I think that this is in the conspiracy world, this is where things I always fall apart for me, where like you just don't like, obviously it's choosing the facts that you feel like are interesting for your narrative that you can then use
Right.
in the whatever way you
I
want.
think
right?
it's not conspiracies. It comes back to just money. Like, I think
Well-
they're just like, look, this is like a really good business model for us.
course.
Like car insurance.
like
for-
anything else. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's like-
another model, but
you make it a law,
Totally.
and insurance companies all of a sudden make
Of
a
course.
lot of money. You
Mhm.
know, like
Of
they're-
course.
they're going like, ooh, this is good for us.
for sure. But I do think that there's the way that I've heard people argue about it and whatever. It always comes down for me. I'm just like, what is you giving a shit about this going to do? Will it
That's what
literally
I ask
do
myself
anything? I'm
about
like,
everything.
yeah, it's like if
I
I
don't know.
so
I mean, yeah, it's
like
if
me
enough
being
people
like, dude-
decide not to do it, then it theoretically doesn't catch on or something.
Yeah.
maybe, but like that battle's already lost. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
know. Like you can't really. If
I
it's-
think if
if
they
it's
don't,
you versus the government, what do you think is going to happen? Like I don't understand.
I think if people don't want to take it, that battle's lost. Like they're
Right.
not going to take it now.
Totally.
So, and that's I think it's fine. Like there's all these other forms of treatment
Right.
too now that are coming out. There's
Yeah.
new antivirals. Like
For sure.
if you don't want to
Mhm.
get the vaccine and you want to do something
Yeah.
else, like there's an option at least. That's good,
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Well, also, I
Fine,
think that there's
good. Can we all go back to fucking the EDM show already?
yeah,
dude?
going. I want to go to baseball games, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to burn here, dude.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to burn. No, but I think there's a little bit of that. I also think there's like I had a conversation with somebody the other day. We may have brought up this on the pod before because this is like my long running, like, I don't understand why people don't do this. It doesn't make sense because of exactly what we're talking about. We're like, why isn't insurance, or why don't insurance companies just make your fucking shit way more expensive if you don't get the vaccine? You're more likely to
Yeah.
get sick. That's how cigarettes and shit work. Like,
Right.
if I'm a
They
smoker,
do, right?
if I'm-
No, with the
no.
vaccine
yeah,
specifically.
if I'm a smoker, then and I put that on my insurance, and if I
Yeah.
don't put it on my insurance, it's insurance fraud. But if I put it on my insurance, then my fucking insurance goes through the roof because they're just like, dude, you're gonna get fucking lung cancer.
Yeah.
So we can't give you normal health insurance because when you get that, it's gonna be expensive for us. So if they do the same thing with COVID, why? I don't understand why they don't do that. It doesn't make any sense.
I
Yeah.
think it opens the door to a precedent that they're not necessarily. It makes sense. Like
Right.
I think, like let's just say you're fat as fuck,
Yeah,
Mhm.
the overweight's
and you
the same
just,
shit.
and you just
Exactly.
crush cheeseburgers all day from fast food. Like you're going to cost the health system more than somebody
Totally.
who's very healthy,
Right.
and we all pay for that. So
Totally.
like it's the same thing with the vaccine thing. Like if somebody chooses not to get it, and you're going to spend 6 months in the hospital, hopefully you just die. Then it's going to cost everyone else all this money. So
Right.
I don't know. You're getting to a point where it's like people's life choices are going to affect the cost
Right.
of existing, and
Totally.
maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's like, and then you get into like social
Right.
credit and like how much are you worth to the
Exactly.
system?
That's what I'm saying.
Do you want that all?
I
think
know-
they're concerned.
I mean, he's probably
You're opening a door of like putting numbers and values on people.
exactly. Well, we do that anyway, though. It's not really opening a door because that's just the way the system works.
Like credit scores.
Well, we do that with car accidents. We do that with credit scores. It's like if you were in a car accident, even if it was a stupid fender bender, like your insurance goes up
It goes up
because
yeah.
people go, well, it's
You're a
more
risk.
likely because
Yeah.
you're a risk that it's going to happen. So if
you
you
live life on the edge.
yeah, and if you don't have if you are choosing to not get the vaccine, and we know that you getting COVID is more likely going to be taxing on the system, then your insurance should go up. And then people are just going to be like, that's fucking bullshit. But they're not going to have a leg to stand on because that's how every other system
Everything
works.
works.
Literally every other system.
Take risks. Your
Yeah.
insurance goes
Like
up.
if I have bad credit, the loan that I get is going to have a higher interest rate
right.
because they know that it's going to have to incentivize me paying it off.
Right.
Right. So it's the exact same system we already have, which I think is just kind of like what we have to do. So before we went on hiatus, I know Jerry Geico used to listen to this pretty closely. So if Jerry Geico is listening, the insurance man,
Fudge off.
fudge off or take our advice.
Yeah.
We'll take
Those are the
68%
two
of this idea. Yeah, fudge off or take our advice. All right, so that's kind of it. So the Herman Cain Award, we can kind of go into that a little bit further, but it is worth noting this one has a little less of the depth of anti-work, but it is another one of those subs that was getting a little bit of the mainstream Kathy and Hoda shine because I think people were like absolutely disgusted by it because
Yeah.
it was celebrating death. And then they were like, the point is not to celebrate death. We don't want to be celebrating death either.
Yeah.
You did this.
Right.
Which I think is kind of what made it tonally very interesting and kind of
Mhm.
made a really cool sub and still is a cool sub. I don't think it has quite the level of like every day there's new Herman Cain Award stuff. Thank God. But also
Yeah.
like, I think there's also just like a little bit of like, it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Like it's like, we're never going to vaccinate everybody. People still, I know that it was originally, it was like a sin to compare COVID to the flu. But now I think in terms of behavior, it's a little bit more appropriate where like some people don't get the flu vaccine, they die from the flu. Some people are just going to get COVID and they're going to die from COVID. The goal is that we leave this world of all this fucking propaganda and bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't want to be in a situation where people go like, I've never heard of somebody being like, I'm not going to get the polio vaccine. Are you fucking
Yeah.
crazy? Be like, oh yeah, I'll take the fucking polio vaccine. It sounds awful, right? So I think it's or like, tetanus vaccine. Like when you like, cool, there's always a chance you're going to step on a rusty nail and then your jaw's going to lock up for the rest of your life. And you're going to fucking like, I'll take that
Ugh.
vaccine,
Right.
but
You have to see the
the alternative, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like this is like a tongue-in-cheek,
Exactly.
snarky way
Exactly.
to do that.
Love it. All right. So what else is happening that we can talk about?
Your boy, Josh Duggar.
Oh, Jesus
Oh.
Christ. Josh Duggar.
He's a pedo.
He's the pedo.
Well,
What kind of pedo
knew.
we're
Look,
talking
we go.
about?
He's a pedo, and Doug goes, well,
Well, pump
Well,
the
hold
brakes,
on. Let's
guys.
pump the
I don't
brakes.
like to judge.
Yeah,
No,
no.
he's a pedo.
Yeah.
But we've known this for a while.
Right.
But he was recently found guilty.
yeah, he was convicted.
Ah.
He's properly
Yeah.
convicted,
Now,
right?
I only just barely know this story.
Right.
He had 9 kids or 7 kids, and we
7.
loved him for it.
So the
Kind of.
Duggars, so he's actually one of the sons
The
of the
Duggars?
original Dougs.
Yeah.
And the Duggars, the original Duggars have like 48 kids.
Okay.
The Duggars.
Like insane number. I actually think it's in like the
This is-
20s or like the high teens.
This is
or
good
something.
for Shia LaDouche because Shia LaDouche is from Britain.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
from Britain.
From
and so-
here.
wow, we're going British accents.
Yeah, so this is the Duggars are peak American blood. That's what
Okay.
we-
So the Duggars,
Yeah.
and he's one of the original 20 kids who then had 7 kids or something.
Yes, exactly.
He
So
is global warming.
He
Like,
is
Yeah.
global warming. He
Yeah.
is a carbon foot.
It's not
Yeah.
global warming in this house right now. I'll tell you right now. California.
Mm-mm.
Global
More like
warming not happening.
global burr chilling. I told Cleansington was telling me about
Right.
his Texas weather,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, it was 85 degrees out," and I was like, "Oh my, well, it's a lot chillier here, with the
Right.
global climate change."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was cute.
put on a
So
jacket.
anyway, Josh Duggar is one of the original kids. He has a
Right.
wife and they share 7 children. He was hit with federal charges in
Nice.
April of this year of receiving and possessing child sex abuse images, including of children under the age of 12.
Okay, good. Because I was gonna.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Great.
Very nice.
The reason I bring it up is because I know it's not a topic we like to delve into, but like, if he was looking at, and we're splitting hairs here, but like, I think there's a difference between like 9-year-old porn
Right,
and 17-year-old porn.
Right.
It's all kind of under the umbrella of like, this is not good.
right.
Yeah.
But I think one is considerably way the fuck worse.
Yes,
I
And
would-
one is
I would-
like
I
still
would
like, I don't
like
want to be
to
friends
think
with any
that,
of these
yes.
people. Okay, but under 12 is in the really
Right.
bad.
Like one, if I know a guy who's looking at like barely legal, but
Yeah.
on the under the line
And,
of
like-
barely legal
Yeah.
porn, then I'm
It's
like,
not
you're
good.
a pervert, like you're disgusting.
Yeah.
Right.
That's creepy. I question why you're into girls who are,
It's not good.
not
You-
quite 18 yet, because you're, gross, disgusting, and it's illegal. It's not right.
It is.
Yeah.
It is illegal. There is a legal line. It's not like a.
Yes, it's
yeah.
not like just more. It's not
Depending on what
right.
state
They're
you're in.
still children.
Right,
Like
right.
you're not able to make or to like knowingly consent to anything at that age.
Right.
But you're right. Like if you're literally prepubescent, like that,
It's not
it
good.
is. It's a whole
not good.
other kind of
Yeah.
ball game, and that's the ball game that Josh Duggar was playing. So,
So-
he was
That's
found.
the ball game that Josh
Guilty.
Duggar was playing.
That's
He
pretty
found
good.
guilty this year or this past week, in fact. So he was found guilty of downloading, possessing the images, and I
Were
don't think
they-
he's been sentenced yet. But
I know this doesn't matter either, but is it? We don't know if it's like girls or boys or all of the
Boys, I thought.
I don't know if
Ugh.
it's been
I could be wrong, I don't
proven.
know.
But
I
I
don't fucking know.
do think that it may not just be boys, because
Yeah.
I believe when this all first started coming out, that they said he had abused some of his own little sisters.
Love
Oh, yeah,
to
wasn't
hear
that-
it. Wow.
So he maybe was abusing his own little siblings back in the
Yeah.
day.
And I'm sorry if you have your own 7 children, like.
Ugh.
I hope he
Yeah.
wasn't abusing his own children. You
So,
never know.
Why? So a couple things here. So one, this has actually been a week of interesting cases that we can talk about, or the last couple weeks, because we also had the Jussie Smollett case.
Oh yeah,
Been wrapping up. That's very strange. And
That one's fun to me.
it's
I'm like,
it's fun and weird and stupid.
Weird.
he's a hell of an actor, right?
He pulled that one out. The role of a lifetime.
The role of a lifetime.
Role of a
I
lifetime.
mean,
Lifetime.
Emmy, where people are saying Emmy nod.
I mean, you can't listen
Wow.
just because you're not on the TV screen when you're acting. It doesn't take you out of Emmy consideration.
It's
you know what I mean?
he like got in front of everybody early on and was like, "This is what happened to me." And
Right.
Everyone's like, I mean, I guess I buy it. Like that's
Yeah.
a good, compelling
Yeah,
story.
I
I mean,
mean-
it turns out None of that happened.
It was a great performance. It was a great performance. So Jussie Smollett's a weird one.
Psycho.
And then, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, that's the
Oh,
fucking, that's the big
yeah.
daddy
Tip of
number
the
one.
iceberg, dude.
Big time.
So this is my thing about the Josh Duggar thing is because he's a celebrity and he's a conservative celebrity, I believe, which is why we think this sucks, right? That's like the whole, or that why we love the story.
Mm.
Because, you know, like people get convicted of fucking shit like this all the time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I'm like, is he a celebrity that people give a shit about? Or is this just
No.
like,
I never heard about this.
why
I mean,
is he
The Doug.
like, yeah, why does he matter? I don't understand.
I think it was because they were such a crazy. Well, first of all, I think we all love a hypocrite story.
Yes. I think
So-
that's the core of it.
Yeah. Because
It's a Christian thing, right?
it's
So
a
like,
Christian
okay.
thing. So you've got these crazy Christians who are having a million kids, and then, you know, they pass judgment on literally everybody. And then here he is.
Wearing pants in church.
Yeah, diddling himself to kid pics. Like, mm-mm.
There we go.
Mm-mm.
Well, that helps a little bit more. So let's talk about the Jussie Smollett one because
Yes.
I mean, every crime case is a little bit of a downer, and you know our stance on this pod. I think we're a little bit of a
pro crime.
pro crime. We're pro crime.
Love crime.
No, I think we tend to be like the world is sad and it fucking everything sucks. Even if we're convicting child molesters, we're also like, I don't love it. It doesn't make me feel good, you know.
I don't love it.
I mean,
The news is sad. I don't
Yeah.
know if the world is sad, but it appears sad through the gaze of the television set. right?
yes. Well,
Can
I
we-
think
can we remind
I think also
ourselves-
just like yes, that is true. But I also think that there's like
It's macro sad.
Yeah.
Micro happy.
Yeah.
Macro sad, micro not always sad.
I like seeing bad people go down, but I don't like seeing that it exists in the first place. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
I
remember
hear
we did
that.
that sub that was like, what was the one that was like find an object or whatever?
Oh yeah, geocache.
No,
and-
No,
Yeah.
it was the one where it was like you look at
Oh.
like it was this really interesting episode we did that I don't remember
It was like the kidnap child
Yes,
trafficking
It-
one.
yes,
Ugh.
exactly. And it was terrible. It was that's kind of what I'm talking about. It was like fascinating
Yeah,
interesting
trace-
topic.
Trace an object.
Trace an object. So this is a sub we covered called Trace an Object, where people literally post images from child abuse photos or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, but not the actual child abuse photos, but it's like something like that. And then
Literally just like they'll trim out a picture frame in the background and they'll be like,
yes,
we've removed the incriminating
Yeah.
pieces of this picture, but if anybody recognizes this picture on the wall, like
right.
that might help us identify
Right.
who this kid is.
Or like what like it's a blurry image, but like what brand of soap detergent could that be
Yep.
sitting on the counter? And then if it's like it's a Paraguayan soap company, they go, oh,
Yes.
Paraguay, we're going to Paraguay.
It's very interesting. Even
Yeah.
if they show like an outdoor image and people can
Right.
be like, that type of tree I recognize from
Exactly.
like South America.
Yeah.
And boom, you
Those
just
only exist in this
Yeah.
region of
narrowed it down.
exactly. So all that to say, child abuse is a bummer.
Yeah.
So I think that cool that Josh Duggar is a hypocrite who's getting his fucking penance for his hypocrisy, etc. But also bummer that this is even a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Now let's go to a more fun court trial. Jussie Smollett. So what actually happened with the Jussie Smollett one? Well, I know that we've I mean it's not new news about what happened to Jussie Smollett, but where are we in the process? I think he was
He was
convicted on all accounts except for one. Right.
Found guilty
Right.
of essentially lying about the thing that happened to him.
Guilty on every count except for one. So this is from I don't want to even click on that. That was the it's a bit of a bummer. This is I'm looking like what's the good link here and the first thing that comes up is the R conservative subreddit,
God dang it.
because this is definitely one of those this is
culture war. Like
this is
back-
this is an
Yeah.
absolute culture war flag,
Well,
unfortunately.
honestly, the two stories are interesting. Like Josh Duggar is a story because he's conservative and he's a pedo,
Right.
Mhm.
and then the sort of liberal media is like, haha, we got
Yeah.
one. And
Right,
then this
exactly.
is sort of now the conservative media is like, haha, but we got one too.
Yeah.
And it's
You're
your
right.
bullshit. So it's like they're just
It's very politicized. It's like,
both these guys are fucks,
yeah,
right?
we look at like
Yeah.
the Duggars as
Totally.
like, oh, the Christian right. We got a hypocrite on your side. We got a loser on your side.
Right.
You're right. It's like Jussie Smollett was like a liberal. You know,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's gay,
He's
he's
a-
black, he's an
Mhm.
actor, he's Hollywood, he's like all these things that the liberal people are like, yes,
Yeah.
he's perfect.
and
then it's like-
attacked for being gay.
But-
Like that's something that
Yeah.
liberals
for
are
being
trying
gay
to
and
like
during
bring
the tr-
attention to.
And
And
then
if
the Trump thing,
if you can like what's the word? Like discredit that,
yeah.
then they're like, fuck yeah, we love discrediting stuff like
What
that.
a psychopathic if
It's a crazy move by Jesse Smollett for sure. Can we talk about what actually happened so that
Yeah.
people
Okay, yeah.
everybody knows? Yeah, this is one of those things. My instinct is to be like, oh, it's such a bummer that conservatives are taking so much glee in this, but then you have to stop yourself and go, hold on, that is also doing the binary polarizing thing where I just go, shucks, my team lost, right?
Yeah.
Which is like not the
Shouldn't
fucking
be our
thing, right?
reaction.
This is like he is a fucking loser, a piece of shit guy,
Yep.
and they just happen to be relishing in it because it matches their agenda, but it's like it has nothing to do with that. It's still the reality of what happened. Because the opposite is actually a bummer too, where people go like, justice for Jussie, he got a fucking and you're just like, no, dude, like he
Yeah.
fucking was convicted
there's
for
a
a good
good
reason, you know.
out of the loop. Do you have it up, dog?
Yeah, I have one out of the
Okay,
loop.
cool.
Cool.
So it says first of all, Jussie.
It's Jussie. Yeah, for all
Jussie.
the it's Jussie.
Jussie.
Justice
Yeah.
Smollett.
Jussie.
Which took me about
which-
6 months to figure
excellent cowboy name.
Yeah.
Excellent cowboy.
out.
Jussie.
Really? Hey, Jussie.
Ju- My name's Smollett. Jussie
Jussie
Smollett.
Hey, Jesse.
I drive
Yeah.
a Palomino horse.
Yeah, drive
Palomino
a
horse.
Palomino horse. Okay, Jussie Smollett. Smollett is an actor who used to be on the show Empire.
Hmm.
On January 29th, 2019, he
Right.
claimed he was attacked by two men in MAGA hats who used a noose on him and threw bleach on him. Extremely racist imagery here in this claim. In the subsequent investigation, it's very credibly alleged that the entire incident was staged from the beginning. The ridicule comes from the way that it was done, which sounded very dubious, to be kind. Number one, he claimed he left his apartment in 40-degree weather in the middle of the night to get a sandwich.
Hmm.
And it
Two,
was like strangely at like 2 a.m. or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Two, he claimed two Trump supporters in MAGA hats in a notoriously liberal city, Chicago, told him, "This is MAGA country." All right.
What? Yeah.
Well,
It's not MAGA country.
actually, Obama country.
Yeah, literally. In number three, it turns out that the guys who assaulted him were two large Nigerian men who he claims were his personal trainers. They claimed he paid them to do the hoax. Oh, and just for fun, during the trial, he revealed that he both smoked weed and masturbated in a spa with them.
That's
All
just,
this plus a funny bit about it by Dave Chappelle has caused him ridicule. There you go.
So,
Yeah.
so he jerked off in spa with the people who
well,
attacked him.
Yeah.
there's some like speculation of a relationship between Jesse, who is openly gay, and
Yeah.
one of the brothers who's not openly gay.
Mm,
And I think that's like another potential wrinkle in the story, and that Jesse
Interesting.
Smollett's case actually used that in the trial, but the other Nigerian brother denied it or something. So
Weird.
where I think in Nigeria, though, where they're from, like they just murder gay people. Though,
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it's a good.
It's
I don't
not
think it's good
like,
energy to be gay there.
no.
no.
It's a very strange trial, or a very strange
Weird.
story. It definitely has that like
Well-
juicy Hollywood goss kind
Well,
of thing.
The other question is, then you go like, well, why fucking bother with any of this? Like,
Right.
Totally.
are you? And then it gets to, are you just trying to like raise your star power
Yeah.
so you can negotiate more deals in Hollywood?
Right.
I mean, it's
Now,
possible.
I just
So
don't understand
What was he
why.
on? He was on
Empire.
Empire.
But why do is this all a ruse just to get in the news? A ruse to get in the
A
news?
ruse for
Yeah.
the news. It might be, and to like become a lot of people, people with Munchausen's who are like they lie to people for the sympathy and
Yeah.
the attention in
Yeah.
that way. Maybe it's something like kind of like that, where he wanted to be a little liberal sweetheart,
Right.
and he wanted the pity and the like the
Right,
comforting
right.
of people being like, "You poor thing,
Right.
oh my god, you poor thing." I don't know, it could be
Right.
something like that.
What's frustrating for me, like when that happened, you're in the middle of this sort of culture war of
Yeah.
Trump and liberal and all this shit, and like this throws a lot of fuel on the fire. Of
Totally.
like, you're like, no. Like
Yeah,
it almost feels like
Colin, guys.
FBI setup.
Yeah.
You're like, why? This isn't good for the
No,
country.
that's
Yeah.
that's why
that's why
this-
like people are pissed
in
Like,
all over
dude,
Reddit.
Come on.
The reactions are all from conservatives.
Mhm.
All the conservatives are like, "Fucking told you there are crisis actors, and
Yeah.
told you
Ah.
liberals are scumbags." And so that's kind of part of the bummer. And then the other side of this too, of course, is that like in general right now, the left is fucking getting their ass kicked because they are just not good at what they do
No.
at all, right?
At all.
In general, like, and it's on the political side, but it's also on the like social side where they just choose bad targets and their arguments are like fucking dumb and weak. So the reason I say this is all this is
And then
also
on
as
top of, like-
somebody who is a pretty fucking liberal
Yes.
person, but is like, this reminds me of when I was a Christian, where I was like, I used to be a
It's exactly like religious malfuttery.
yeah.
It's like this feels culty. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're like, wait, but we're not going to space
Right.
heaven when we drink the thing. And you're like, I can prove it.
Yeah.
And then people are like,
Totally.
we're drinking it anyway.
Well, when I was a Christian, I was like, I started over time. I was just like, you people are the worst.
Right.
And it was a little less like, I don't believe in the thing anymore, and a little bit more like, I don't want to be associated with these fucking idiots.
right.
And it was like becoming more and more of a thing to the point where I
Yeah.
was just like, I don't not believe in some of the tenets and basic value systems of Christianity or whatever, but I don't want to be associated with
Exactly.
Christians because they're fucking lame, they're mostly like lame people who I like don't feel any sense of tribe with.
Yes.
And that's like becoming increasingly the case with like liberalism. I'm just like, all of the liberal shit I believe in, but like, I don't want to be associated with these people who are like do this stupid shit and like, and they like go
Yeah.
like, we need to retry Rittenhouse because that. I'm just like, dude, he
Move
got off.
on.
He was got off as innocent. You're fucking. What are
Yeah.
you doing? Like,
Exactly.
you
Like,
know?
don't dig your heels in on something that already was questionable. Like,
Totally.
move on.
Yeah.
You're making yourself and all of us look like fucking idiots.
yeah, and totally.
It makes you realize, like, I'm sure, like, for the rest of time, we will all like feel a sort of community with people with different titles and names and
Right, right.
whatnot, and we'll feel like we want to, I'm a liberal or I'm a this or I'm a
Right.
that. But the fact is, it's like once you give yourself a name, you're basically aligning with everything that group
Yeah,
does
I know.
in the eyes
Yeah.
of other people,
Yeah,
even
Yeah.
if that's not the case. So it's like you
Yes,
just
you
learn
have
to
to
not want
follow.
to do it.
it's like when you're a Ravens fan and
Yeah.
your star linebacker murders someone, you still have to
You
root for the
still have to,
linebacker
yes, yeah.
because you're part of that
Yeah.
team.
You have to put on your brass knuckles.
It's
and
the
get
worst
out
way
there.
to solve problems.
It's fucking terrible. And
It
yeah,
is.
and I'm just
And-
embarrassed by it. I'm just like, I look at it, I'm just like, this is fucking embarrassing. Like, this is
is.
stupid. You guys are fucking
Which
embarrassing
brings in
me.
our next guest, Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang, Yang
Yang, Everyone.
everybody.
Clappy, clappy, clappy.
Every
Well, he's
Andrew Yang. Yeah.
The Yang, my son.
Welcome to Venice Beach,
That became
California.
like a fucking Joe Rogan pit out of nowhere
I
for
love.
fucking no reason.
I wish we could
I
have
know.
panned over to Andrew Yang walking in.
Yeah. It's just,
Uh,
that would have been, oh, God.
but
This
he's
is the
the-
big
he's-
reveal for Christmas. We have a new person on our podcast. Internationally famed political correspondent and potential running mate.
So
Andrew
you-
Yang.
Are you voting Yang Gang?
Yang Gang.
Third
y'all.
party,
don't
forward
fucking
party?
know.
I think it's
I don't-
interesting. Let's do it. Hey,
I mean, I don't know what I don't
Why
know
not?
what the system
let's mix
is
it
right now.
up.
I mean, I
Why
will
not?
say I over the last, we were pretty fucking big ass Bernie heads, or at least I was. And I was just kind of like seeing the way they treat him and the way they talk about all this stuff. I'm just like, you guys are fucking embarrassing. I'm not supporting your shit, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna vote for, man. I'm gonna vote for like
My
vote for like the
ass.
fucking meme party. Yeah. I'm just gonna like
Yeah.
vote.
My
Yeah.
ass.
My ass, exactly.
Write that in.
My ass for
I
president.
voted for the last two presidential elections. Both my children were both born in those years.
Right.
So I wrote in ballots,
Hey.
baby, because I was like,
Charlie,
yep.
let's make this happen.
And I thought, I'm a great dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm a
I'm a
really
great
good
dad.
dad. I support my kids.
Yeah, I'm a really cool dad. And then I'm going to show that to them when they're graduating
Yeah.
high school and
In a-
say,
in a
you guys
total-
can do anything.
In
okay?
a total anomaly, your child gets actually elected
I called it.
as a
I called
president,
it. I called it.
but elected as a 4-year-old,
Yeah.
and then
This does feel like the
we
next
have one of those
great
big moments.
Arnold Schwarzenegger joint.
Well,
Yeah.
if you named your kid like Joe Blow or something,
Joe
Joe
Blow.
but then all of a
Blow.
sudden you could be like, "Excuse me, there is a Joe Blow," and be like, "Well, according to our numbers, Joe Blow got 65% of the vote
This
this
is
year.
how every comedy movie in the 90s was made.
Yes.
It's like it turns out your 4-year-old is president.
Is actually president.
First order of business, no pooping in the Oval Office. Et cetera.
This Sunday on Fox.
There's always like an awkward scene in those movies too, where like the 4-year-old falls in love with his like press secretary, who's
Yes.
a 42-year-old woman. You're like,
And she
and then they like go to
flirts back.
kiss. You're like, what is happening here
Yes.
with this
Yeah.
scene? And
Yes.
then Bill Cosby was molesting people the whole time.
The whole
the
time.
whole time.
Ah, Hollywood.
Hollywood.
God.
Hilarious. Well, what else do we want to cover? I think we're kind of getting close to Joe Rogan time. I know that
Getting
we.
close.
But the good thing is, we can keep going because we're not going to see these people again for until next quarter.
Next
Yeah.
quarter, we gotta wait for the next GDP report for us to get on.
Yeah. Well, I've got 2 other topics.
Let's talk
Great.
about it.
Up my
Let's talk.
sleeve.
All right.
The one topic I'll say is abortion, and the only thing
Love
I want to
it. Thanks
touch
for bringing
on.
this up.
dude.
This is what
I
people come
love-
to this pod for.
Yeah.
I love
I
abortion.
literally love it.
You know
And
what's so? Give us the update.
so literally don't even want to get fully involved in it.
Let's start this segment again.
But yeah,
Hold on.
Abortion. Nice. Andrew Yang, everyone.
let's
No,
talk
no.
about those babies.
Okay.
So
She hails
abortion.
from Sedona.
Sedona. So abortion rights have been, they've been clamping down on abortion rights across the
Right.
United States. It's crazy. Ireland of all places,
Right.
abortion's legal. But in Texas, things are crazy. So I wanted to.
Are we racist against the Irish people? Why did we make
Oh,
that
because they're
segue about
notoriously
like
Catholic country.
Oh, okay.
Notoriously
All right.
Catholic.
In the Catholic Church, you're not supposed to.
Ireland?
Hey, I'm Irish.
for fucking?
I'm allowed
Can you
to say
believe
that.
those Irish pieces of
Of
shit
Those
fucking legalized?
potato
Yeah,
fuckers.
all right. Anyway,
No, I am Irish, so it's
Okay.
okay for me to say that. Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Cool.
I just wanted to put this out there, you guys, because as
Scientific Journal.
abortion rights get clamped down on for
Cool.
people who give birth across the country, I want
Right.
people to be aware that there are many abortion pill services out there that will ship to any state.
Oops.
Any state in the United States,
There you
even
go.
if the abortion laws are like kind of up in the air or really restrictive. So
Right.
the one that I
So,
am familiar with is
yeah.
called aidaccess.org.
There you go.
So
Love it.
check it out. They can ship in very nondescript packaging, and it basically induces an at-home miscarriage.
okay,
So
cool. Wow.
yeah,
Crazy.
it's like not a comfortable thing to talk about for everybody, but
Good to know that this
it's
is an
really
option.
important for
Yeah.
people to know.
Put it
because-
in a protective case.
yeah,
Put
and-
it in a little hammer on the outside of the case.
Exactly.
So like when pregged, knock it out because you do not
Yeah.
want to take this when you think it's a
Yes.
fucking ivermectin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but people should know
Um,
this because if abortions become harder and harder to
Yeah, of
get,
course.
if they go for the back alley abortions that are really dangerous
Really
and you
hurts
could
you.
die,
Some
it's like
close
there are
hanger
safe
shit.
options
Yeah,
out there.
exactly.
So check it out.
Well, and I have this is
Whoa.
an outrageous thing that I think most people may or may not know on this podcast. But in college I studied the shit out of Romania. It was my number one. It was like my
Yes.
big thing. I don't know why. I just got obsessed with Romania.
And
it was like,
obviously
Awesome.
now it's paying dividends.
Yeah.
this is it's time that we finally announce the big twist.
Is this
Andrew Yang speaking on
Romanian economics.
politics.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh god, that bit never gets old. So I studied a lot about Romania. The reason I bring that up is Romania in the 90s or in the 80s rather, when Nicolae Ceausescu was still in power, they implemented a very draconian, very intense anti-abortion, anti-contraceptive policy, which is what there's a film called 5 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, I believe. Or 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, which is about it. And it's a devastating movie. It won the Palme d'Or like in 2009 or something, the
Wow.
Cannes Palme d'Or. So it's like a very well regarded, very beautiful film. But all the conversations around abortion, this is often part of the reality is that
Wow.
like you don't get rid of abortion, right?
No.
You just women choose different methods, women and men, quite frankly, because I think that men will pressure women and will
Yeah.
do gnarly things or whatever. So it just you end up getting the clothes hanger thing. You end up getting like fucking bad adoptive
Yeah.
situations where, you get the fucking, there's a lot of gnarly stuff. So
Yeah.
even though abortion's it's like a gnarly topic and I don't think anybody is pro-abortion. There's no such thing as being pro-abortion. You can be pro-choice, but nobody's like,
get rid of those babies.
Let me abort. I want to abort.
Yeah.
Let's fucking
and some
go
people
abort.
might, but they're
Saturday
probably
afternoon, we're aborting, right?
they're being provocative.
Yeah,
okay.
But
It
that's not what it is, right?
It is funny because if you're not anti-abortion, that means you love aborting
Yeah.
babies.
It's
Like,
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
it sounds crazy.
It's like it's you know what, like
Right.
whatever. If you want to, that's your right too.
But
If
it's
you
to
are
me,
pro-abortion,
to
that's
me,
your
it's like
right.
we don't want like a governing body telling us what to
No.
do.
With your
with-
body,
with our
ever.
right.
And this is when the boomers say, "Well, school could give me my vaccine, bro."
Well,
And
this is
it's
the
like the
confusing
best
thing right
it's,
now.
it is
is.
medically confusing. Like, do you want them involved or not? And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I think if you make them involved with vaccines, then you've opened the door to
Right.
make them involved with abortion. And
Totally.
like, if
Yeah.
you want them off
I
your
know.
body, just say fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be what it is.
It's a
either
very
way.
confusing. We live in such a. This is again like the teamsmanship of like the weird liberal Democrat,
Yeah.
whatever, like owning the libs, owning the conservatives.
I don't
whatever.
have a lot of faith in some of these governing bodies.
No,
like,
of course not.
doing a great job. That's why I'm like,
No.
just don't give them too much.
I know,
because
but
it's
this-
not gonna.
But this is the fucking wacky ass shit, man. Because now we're like the vaccine and like all these other things where there isn't. It's just bizarre. We live in this bizarre like
Yeah.
time where you can't be like, well, you gotta let abortion and be like, my body, my choice. I'm not getting the vaccine. Be like, well, like, you're
Yeah.
right, but I can't.
The thing is, I
Yeah.
feel like if this country was like, sure, your body, your choice, you don't have to get the vaccine, but then you can't ride public transportation.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
can't ride
Exactly.
airplanes. You can't go into the grocery store. You can't do this. It's like
Right.
that should be allowed. Like these are all public places. You know,
Right.
you have to keep
I think
everybody
if
else safe.
businesses want to make that choice, they can. And
Yeah.
But
And-
then what happens with abortion? Can't you do the same thing with abortion? By
yeah,
that
you
logic?
can.
So you can't get to the grocery store if you get an abortion.
What?
Yeah.
How are they gonna know?
I think
You
you
have
could.
to report it.
You could
You
make
have
that.
to tell the police.
Damn it! You have to have a card on you.
The new rule is when you get an abortion, you have to tell whatever
think
cop
the-
is
Is it
closest to you.
closest to
Yeah, I think
you?
the
Whoever comes
argument
closest.
is like the market will like stabilize those
Yeah, of course.
choices. Like if your
Ah.
sign outside of your sandwich store is like
Right.
no
Yeah.
abortions here.
Which brings me
We
back to
don't
aid
offer
access.
any abortions here.
Which brings me
Yeah.
back to aid access.
Right.
Nobody needs to know you've had an abortion
Totally.
either. Aid access is in the comfort of your
Yeah.
own home. So
Every time I have a girlfriend who tells me she had an abortion, I don't want to say I'm like shocked because but it is a little bit of like oh,
Yeah.
never would have known,
yes,
right?
because people don't really talk about it,
Right.
or they're not comfortable being open about it, or you know,
Yeah, because they're not showing me the rib cage. I don't see all the scars,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and
how it
if-
works.
I
That's
know.
how it works. Yeah,
Mhm.
'Cause,
exactly.
we know that the abortion process typically is it's a very long,
Oh yeah,
very rehabilitative process where you open up the guts and you fucking
Yeah.
pull around the large intestine. You got to move all the stuff and then you got to
Yeah.
replace a bunch of other stuff.
and then you send the fetus over to SpaceX. They put
Totally.
it in a little
Mhm.
tube and they grow it into the next SpaceX factory
Yeah.
workers.
This is
That
what
would
they-
actually not
This
be
is
a
what they
bad.
don't tell you on mainstream media. That's why we're fucking coming back
Yeah.
every quarter now, is to let you know how abortions
Yeah,
work.
That's how it works,
Yeah.
guys.
All right.
So we're basically at a point where federally the law is not protected. So then
Right.
the state is now going to mandate whether or not it's legal within the state.
Right.
So you're going to get this situation where some states it's legal, some
Mhm.
states it's illegal,
Right.
and you're going to just further kind of polarize, I think, like the states in the country's culture war.
I agree
into
with that.
going, like,
Yeah.
this is a Christian state,
Right.
and this is a
But-
fucking hippie state.
So I agree with that, but I do think I am mostly okay with that. And not because I think that we necessarily should, but I do think there's always going to be a balance that has to strike.
Yeah.
Where like you're gonna have people who are like living in liberal California and you're gonna be like, fuck this, I want to move to like not liberal Texas, and then you're gonna be like, all right, man, like
Go
fucking
for it.
Texas kind of sucks. Like you can do whatever you want, So
The reason why
it sucks for people who can't go anywhere, but like we have to be able to create the opportunity for mobility for those people.
Yeah, I hear
You know?
that.
I do think like more than we realize, the environments we are from and live in
Right.
probably shape our belief structures quite a bit.
For sure.
Like if you're from California, you just like assume the identity of like a lot
Right.
of California politics, I think. And
Yeah.
and it's the same with probably
Yeah.
Texas and conservative places. So like if your state is like this is how things are done. It doesn't give you a lot of freedom,
Yeah,
or,
mental
like,
freedom. Yeah,
to choose what you really think.
it's a good
Granted,
resource.
I don't know
Good
if
for that.
anybody gives or is like really like thinking things through.
It'd
Anyway,
be
but-
interesting to see a like a breakdown of the state by state laws that have, like, even down to things like income tax, because you always hear about when people are just like, oh, like Jenny Sue moved to Florida, and we're gonna be like, well, why the fuck would you move to Sarasota? And be like, well, they don't have income tax there.
Yes.
I'm just like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where would I know how
No.
their tax system works? You know, so I
That's
think
why
that is
everyone
actually
moves to
interesting.
Florida. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. All right, we got one more topic. Maybe I think Dog, you wanted to talk about
Oh,
abortion.
yeah.
Did you want to talk about abortion twice? Was that the
No,
goal?
yeah, I wanted
I
to
got
bring up
two more
that
topics.
twice.
The first is abortion.
First abortion, second
Second's abortion.
abortion. No, second one I thought we would touch on is related a little bit to the strike,
Okay.
striking and unions and
Right.
whatnot.
Baseball.
Alec Baldwin
Oh, okay.
shooting.
Oh yes, this was another hot one that happened.
big thing that happened this year, you guys.
This was very confusing. I'm a little. I don't really understand. I mean, you're Mr. Hollywood over here. Maybe is better. Might understand this better than we do. I also noticed you have a very nice new mechanical keyboard.
Oh, let's talk
Ooh,
about.
la la.
Are we talking about mechanical keyboards? Or are we talking about baseball? Or are we talking about Alex Baldwin?
Let's talk about Alex Baldwin.
Okay.
Alex
Okay.
Baldwin.
There is a big mechanical keyboard scene.
There is
on Reddit,
there is a big mechanical keyboard scene.
and I definitely am into
At
it.
some point, we have to come back and do boring subs again, because
Yeah,
that was
no, this is like a whole. I can talk to you about this for a while.
Okay, okay, I'll
Yeah.
save it after the
I
pod.
actually am like
Really into mechanical
strangely into
keyboard.
it. Yeah,
We've talked about this before. You are a mechanical keyboard like enthusiast.
enthusiast. Yeah.
Like some people watch birds, you mechanical keyboard.
I love the way it
Yeah,
sounds. I love
I
the way
know.
it feels. It's fun typing on them.
I
I
love
don't
it.
know.
So Alec Baldwin. So for anybody who's been living under Iraq, this is for anybody who's living in Iraq right now. Alex Baldwin basically shot somebody on set with what was presumed to be a prop gun.
Yes.
For some fucking reason, it had real ammo in it, and I do not understand how or why.
Yeah.
And it went off, and they shot. He shot a camera op,
Yeah.
and she died.
Yeah.
And it became a like huge fucking deal, and he's really shredded about it. I don't think. I mean, again, he is a great actor, but I don't think that there's no reason to assume that he's not actually shredded about it.
And yes, continue.
And I think that's all I really know. I don't know anything more than that.
Yeah, I think the thing that's super interesting about this story is that it happened right in the midst of the IATSE union.
Yes, that is actually interesting.
And
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So this was another union that was redoing its contract.
Yes.
Yes.
And IATSE is probably you would
Yes,
be the perfect
so
person
they're all
to
the-
tell.
IATSE is all the people who work on a film or TV set that do things like lighting, like
It's the grips and shit, right?
grips, but like
Crew.
crew, like all like the moving parts, like all like the workers essentially
It's a crazy light. I'm in the middle of it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
are in a union called the IATSE, and they're basically they've been historically overworked, and they're kind of first on set, last to leave, because they're the ones like setting it up and taking it down. So
Yeah.
the actor flies in, sits in their trailer, leaves first, and they're
Yeah.
like, "That was such a hard day," and you're like, "Dude, you didn't really do shit."
Right.
I can't believe how lukewarm my coffee was today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And meanwhile,
so-
these workers are spending like 16 hours, 18
Drive
hours.
time, transportation. It's basically all day, and then
Right.
and then they got to be there again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. again. So like
Shredded.
turnaround flops are quick and too quick, and so they're basically going on strike, and they're saying, "Look, like we need some rules because people are getting worked to death." you know?
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and like they paid like fine, but not enough, kind of thing.
Mhm. And one of the
Right.
things they mention is like the deaths and injuries they're talking about happening because of these long days are things like getting in the car, going home to drive and falling asleep at the
Yeah,
wheel.
totally.
Like you've been worked to the bone. It's not
Yeah.
safe to then drive home. So it's also not safe to operate guns on set. So this was interesting that it happened right in the middle of
totally.
these talks, because it brought up the idea of like, is this a production that has been following all of the rules? Like, are the producers on this film like by the
Right.
book? Are
And-
they?
yeah, and like financially, the way it works is like I'm a producer, Joe Hollywood
Right.
Bags, and like I find a script, I find
Right.
a director, I find an actor,
Yeah.
and then I go to financiers, and then I go like, I need $25 million, and like you get that money. So that's your pile of money.
Mhm.
You have this. You run some scenarios.
Right.
You're like, this could make $50 million. So I could spend X, make Y. And so the less you spend, the more you make, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So you can, as you're hiring and building out your financial models, you're going like, okay, 25 shoot days cost me X, 35 shoot days cost me even more. And so, the tighter, the more you can pack into the schedule, the more money you make. So it all comes back to like profit. So
Try
faster
to cut
you can
down
get,
shoot days.
try to cut down shoot days, try to cut down overall like
Cut down
overhead costs,
fake bullets.
hotel costs, food costs on set, like all that little stuff like adds up, and it basically is more or less money that the producer is going to take home.
By the way, really quickly, Shia LaDouche. I think maybe Shia LaDouche may work in the film industry because they are contributing some seemingly inside info. I can't really tell, but in London. So anyway, continue. I also really quickly, because I know that we're running out of time anyway, but like, how the fuck did a real bullet end up in this goddamn gun? I don't understand that.
So the gun was an antique gun because it's an antique Western. So that's one interesting element. Like the old guns and shit, like just don't work very well. So the fact that it happened, I'm like, okay, I get that, like that mistake could have been made because it's an old fucking antique gun.
And they didn't. So is it that they didn't want to add a boom in post? So they were like, put real gunpowder in there, and they're just
they use real bullets all the time because the reactions are real, and it's just like it feels like a real moment, like a blank.
A blank. Okay.
Yeah. So they use them because it's like it's reactive. You go,
Yeah.
it's fucking. It's a real bullet.
The noise will be like real.
Yeah, and so it just feels real. But so the antique gun triggers and shit don't work like they should. So the mistake within the guns mechanics, like you can sort of wrap your head around that, why there was a real bullet there. That's kind of the question nobody understands. Like the conspiracy theory of it all that I'm definitely just making up is like Baldwin's been this like uber liberal guy who's like who's been like
the conspiracy theory that I'm
pushing. Well, no, I'm kind of going like, why would somebody bring bullets? There's two things. There's the stuff with Ayatsi where like he was a producer on the movie, so he stands to make money off of however much money they don't spend.
Yeah.
So
he might have been cutting corners.
So if he's like pushing the crew too hard and they're pissed, there's that conspiracy, right? Like maybe somebody was just like, fuck that.
Somebody
guy.
threw it in there. Yeah.
I'm gonna like, but it's so random how it happened. The other conspiracy is like maybe these are like conservative people that hate liberals. This one's like a big stretch, and maybe like someone's just trying to fuck with him as like a Hollywood producer, like baby eater kind of a thing. I don't know if I don't believe that, but I'm like, so you just don't know what someone's motivation could have been. But it seemed like somebody like
they assumed that he was going to shoot the baby and the baby meat was going to get tarnished and was going to make bad baby meat.
That's correct.
Okay,
that's exactly
that makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know. It seems like somebody brought bullets and put them in the box like on purpose. I don't know how she could have fucked that up.
It feels to me like even what you just said about the antique gun thing, like there's always a possibility that, I mean, you know how these things happen where just like there's some series of anomalous things where like somebody gets a gun from an antique store and then they would never in a million years assume that there's a bullet in it because it's a fucking antique store, right?
It wasn't that. It was like the bullet got loaded into the gun to use as a blank. It was a blank.
Yeah. So what do blanks and regular bullets look like compared to each other?
They look different. Blanks look like blanks. They have like a depressed nose. Like it looks, but it's still gunpowder.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a piece of metal.
Somebody put
but
that
you can still
in there.
die
It's
from
so
a
weird.
blank. There's like this is not how. I mean, it can actually cause a sound wave that can like cause concussion because
but that's not
like
what
if you put it
happened,
next to
obviously.
somebody, that's not what happened. So they are still dangerous, but
Right.
this was just a real bullet. And they do that. The thing is, like, if you're a professional weapons expert, you would know the difference very clearly between a real bullet and a fake bullet or blank.
Yeah.
So it seems like somebody put it in.
Here's a picture I'll share.
That's what's fucked.
This is also another Shia LaDouche thing. Our in-house film historian. So look at the Brandon Lee Crow case. They did a close-up loading scene with prop bullets. Armorer didn't check the weapon for another scene using the same gun. One prop round was left in the chamber. Then the next scene included blanks. Blanks plus prop round equals real bullet. So
because it propels the prop round
Yes.
out like a real bullet.
That or that the prop round is a round because it's a prop.
Okay.
And so there was a loading scene where you're putting the prop into the bullet,
Yeah.
or you're putting the prop bullet into the chamber, which is just a bullet, right? And then you didn't take it out because then it's just a normal fucking gun, right?
Shit.
I hate it. I don't love it.
It was really sad. I knew people that knew the woman who got shot
Yeah.
because it's like it's a pretty small community at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
DP's crew. It's like
Right.
Yeah.
a couple. It's hundreds of people.
Yeah.
you know, So
Right.
people, everyone knows each other.
Yep.
Especially if you've like worked in it for 10 years, like
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Productions don't last. It's not like everybody with normal jobs who has a job for like 3 years.
Yeah,
It's like you have a
exactly.
job
Yeah.
for like 3 months and then
Yeah.
mix it up,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. That's what's fun about it.
I like
With these
that.
little families.
It's crazy shit,
Cute.
man. Yeah, it's a really odd story. I think it's going to be. It is actually interesting that it is somehow related to the ongoing conversations around labor and
It
anti-war.
is.
I think that's like the theme. That's been the thing that's kind of the latest, most important cultural movement of our time. That I think is obviously gaining steam. That's part of why I'm like the teachers union thing is probably going to be the one that really kicks it off into
Yeah.
some serious way, because Kellogg's, of course, is still in the manufacturing world. It feels a little bit like it's a little confusing because it's almost like a kind of old school, like people on the lines need better.
Factories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that almost that for people who don't know enough about it, that almost diminishes the bigger issue, which is like straight up, these are unions who are just have lost power over time,
Well,
and they need to reclaim their power.
And
And
that
globalization, all the problems that are all happening.
Right.
Yeah, and man, I see it in like in different industries, but like people treating their employees like they're just
Right.
like their kind of personal slave property. Like,
Totally.
and do that and treating people like shit, and people are just like, I don't
want to do this anymore.
I know.
Why would I do this for your gain?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we've seen that the Great Resignation is what it's called right now. Everybody after the pandemic, there's tons of people who just straight up quit their jobs and done other stuff. I think there's a lot of like people that were underpaid have gotten offers elsewhere. I think when I was like, the labor market in our industry is really interesting right now because I think a lot of people are looking for employees because so many people were getting better pay elsewhere, wanted to fucking bail on the industry entirely, whatever. And so it's just kind of this. I think the pandemic had this really interesting social and mental effect on people where I think a lot of people are just like, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore.
This
right?
isn't fun.
Yeah. And then because of that, everybody coming back and be like, cool, it's time to go back and be like,
No.
no, I don't know if I want to actually.
Yeah.
And then people are like, what do you mean? So it's just
like-
an interesting effect. It's
it's
a
a
really
good-
interesting effect.
It's a really good time to be like, do I feel like my job fulfills me? No.
Right.
But does it pay me to have a great time? No. Also.
Yeah, that's
So
the
it's
problem.
like,
That's the thing that's been happening is like good times don't really exist right now.
yeah.
Or they haven't been existing lately. So I think that like the thing that we used to be able to do a lot easier, where we would just be like, I don't give a shit about my job because I get to fucking buy weird sex
Yeah.
toys, right? Or whatever it is. And
At least I've got my sex
at
dungeon.
least I got my sex dungeon. Now I think people are just like,
I can't even afford my sex dungeon anymore.
I can't afford my sex dungeon. My friends don't want to come to my sex dungeon anymore because they're worried they're gonna get COVID.
Like,
This fucking sucks, dude. I'm gonna go back to school to be a park ranger.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what's happening right now.
It is.
In a very literal way. So
Yeah.
but anyway, well, fucking happy holidays and shit. We're
Yeah,
gonna have
man.
to close this one. I have to
Close it out.
yeah.
What do you guys got going on today, huh? Sunday?
I gotta
church?
go watch the Browns play the Ravens,
Oh,
actually.
right
quite frankly.
on. Me too.
It sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm totally serious.
I believe
Yeah.
you. I believe
So
you.
I'm probably gonna head over
Playoffs, huh?
we are
Playoffs?
in the Browns are either going to completely collapse for the rest of the season or win the league.
Come on, league.
I know that's what I keep saying. League.
Come on.
Might go to Baja Cantina if you want to go.
Oh wow, you're going for it.
I might have to. I mean, the game starts in 2 minutes ago, so
Thanks for the invite. I'll be there too.
come to Baja Cantina. You're a big league fan.
Yeah.
You've always been a big league.
I
fan.
know.
We can put it on in my living room right now if you want.
Oh, we can do that. Do you have NFL Total Game League package?
No.
I don't know what channels it's on. We'll figure it out. All right. Anyway, well, this has been a fucking joy. We'll be back
Yeah.
next quarter.
Really nice to see you guys again. This
We're
has
back.
been a real
I know.
pleasure.
We're damn
you
back.
know?
Thank you, Shia.
Hopefully
Just
you
put the
weren't so-
Christ in Christmas for me.
Uh,
What about you guys?
let's put the mass in mass surveillance.
Yes.
Oh,
me.
nice.
Beautiful.
Christ mass surveillance.
Yeah,
Woo!
see, dude, well, fucking open up your minds.
I
dude.
think
Have you-
Julian Assange is
Right?
getting extradited back to
Yeah.
the United
he
States
had,
too.
he had a stroke yesterday.
Oh.
Stroke or attempted murder.
Somebody, because Reddit's the best.
Shit.
There's
I don't trust
think
anything. I mean, dude, come on.
The
Epstein,
top
bro.
comment on that story was Julian Assange didn't stroke himself,
Wow.
which the internet's the
The
best.
world we live
Classic.
in.
All right. Anyway, well, this is Did You Reddit, your quarterly, maybe more, maybe less, podcast about the internet and Reddit by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet. My name is it's your dad Crumpus,
And I am Dog Boobs.
I'm my Frida. Expensive nights. Frida, though. Good to see you, everybody.
Good to
Thanks
see
for
you,
tuning
Shia.
in, Shia.
Woo! Haha.
oh, I love it so much. All right, see y'all in the 2022.